Hey friends, welcome back. I want to tell you about something that I found. You won't believe how effective this ancient tool is as a way to learn more effectively. I know you're curious and you might even be skeptical when I tell you what it is, but I really wish I had known this earlier. I don't want you to miss out the way that I did, so I made this video. What if I told you that essay writing is an ancient technique long overlooked that might just be the game changer that you've been looking for?
If you can think and speak and write, you are absolutely deadly. God, people give you money, they give you opportunities, you have influence. Well, why are you learning to write? Because here's your sword, here's your M16, right? Here's your bulletproof vest.
By the way, my name is Francesca. I came first in my class and I got various academic medals, awards, and scholarships. And in this video, I'll show you what I learned about why essay writing is such a powerful learning tool after going down a deep research rabbit hole. I'll also show you how essay writing can improve your thinking, especially if you've ever had trouble staying focused or organizing your thoughts. And if you're wondering if it works for other subjects like math or science, it actually does. And last but not least, I'll share some tips to write better essays as well as some resources that I've compiled. And if all of this is up your alley, well, get ready because we're about to get nerdy, talk neuroscience, and by the end, you'll have learned ways to transform your ability to learn and think if you apply it. So before we get into how this tool can help you today, I want to take a quick trip back in time. The word essay actually comes from the French term essayer or essayer, which means to try or to attempt. And according to Britannica, the usage of the term to define the analytical piece of writing that we know today is borrowed directly from the essays of Michel de Montaigne.
I write to keep from going mad from the contradictions I find among mankind, and to work some of those contradictions out for myself.
And like him or not, even Shakespeare was influenced by Michel de Montaigne. That brings us to, what does this have to do with us? For the past 30 days, I immersed myself in the subject of writing. I researched writing and I also wrote a lot. I wanted to find out if and how it could impact my learning and focus. Here's what I discovered. What I found truly fascinating is it's not just the method of writing or essay writing. It's the mindset too. It's a way of engaging deeply with whatever material it is that you're reading and truly understanding it. Consider this. Nowadays, you see a lot out there about speed and multitasking. It's all about get as much done as possible at the same time in as little time as possible. Whereas writing, in particular essays, is all about slowing down and deep focus. Now, will writing essays make you a world-famous thinker? Maybe, probably not. But it will make you a better thinker, and it'll improve your understanding of the world and what you see online. And it actually impacts the brain. And if you're thinking, that sounds great, but show me the evidence, fair enough. Modern neuroscience is finally starting to catch up with what Michel and the ancients knew all along. Let's talk about this gentleman, a neurologist and neuroscientist. Martin and his merry band of researchers wanted to know what brains looked like when brain containers were writing. They used an fMRI to scan the subject's brains while they were writing. And here's what they found. When brainstorming ideas for their own stories, the occipital lobe, the visual processing area of the brain, became more active. Subjects may have been seeing the scenes in their head while writing. When they were creating, the hippocampus and the front of the brain became more active. So research shows that different parts of your brain are more active at different stages during the writing process. Essay writing is almost like a mental exercise. Now, of course, the brain isn't actually a muscle, but it sure can work. And in the same way that it gets easier for you to do a certain exercise the more you repeat it, it gets easier for your brain to remember certain tasks or to remember certain pieces of information the more you repeat it. Repetition strengthens the circuitry or the pathways in your brain. Now back to why this should matter to you. We are constantly bombarded with information. If we start losing the ability to focus deeply, our understanding of complex subjects might be superficial at best. Or maybe we'd forget why we walked into a room more and more. But here's the kicker. Writing could be the antidote. Researching, brainstorming, outlining, creating a draft, editing. It forces me to put on blinders and really get into the zone so that I can make sure that what I'm saying makes sense and is backed up with the research that I found. So this is actually a way to combat the effects of distraction. You could almost think about it like you're strengthening that focus muscle that lets you tune out distractions and stay in flow.
William Zinsser, who is a famous author who wrote the book on writing well, said it best. Writing is thinking on paper. Anyone who thinks clearly can write clearly.
Writing essays can actually sharpen your ability to think and communicate your ideas effectively, both written and verbal. How, you ask? Have you heard of Bloom's taxonomy? This is Benjamin Bloom. He was an American educational psychologist who spent his career researching learning. He published a number of books and research articles, and in particular, he studied the different levels of cognitive function required for learning. To become an expert on a topic, there are certain cognitive steps that are needed. This became known as Bloom's taxonomy, although what I'm showing you is actually the revised version after they changed the nouns into verbs back in 2001. Now, going back to Bloom's taxonomy, essays, and what this has to do with being a better thinker. If you take a look at the top 3 steps, what do you notice? Analyze, evaluate, and create. Can you write an essay without these steps? I'd say it'd be pretty tough to do so. Actually, it'd be tough to write an essay without almost all of these steps. To write a solid essay, you need to analyze the source material, work out what ideas they might convey, and then relate that to your own arguments. You'd also evaluate if some sources might be flawed and decide if your argument is convincing or if there are more convincing arguments to present. And when you're writing an original essay, well, you're creating. Now back to those top 3 steps. Can you think critically without these steps? Let's see. Critical thinking is about taking a look at the evidence, evaluating it, spotting flaws in the source or logic, and drawing your own conclusions based on knowledge and research. Instead of saying the human brain is a complex organ composed of approximately 86 billion neurons, critical analytical writing might say, while the brain's intricate network of neurons is often hailed as the pinnacle of biological complexity, the ongoing challenge lies in understanding how this complexity translates into consciousness and whether current neuroscientific models sufficiently account for the emergent properties of human cognition. The descriptive statement is, well, descriptive, so it provides factual information. Meanwhile, the critically analytical statement builds on top of that. So it's more about analyzing and evaluating the factual information out there, the implications of those facts, and questions current understanding or models within neuroscience. And if you're anything like past me, you might be wondering, what's so important about critical thinking anyway? Here are just a few critical thinkers who have changed the world. As for improving communication, does it ever feel like your brain is traveling at the speed of a NASCAR race car, but when you try to get it out, you get all jumbled up or forget what you were trying to say? Well, the process of essay writing forces you to organize your thoughts in a compelling way that other people can understand. You also have to connect ideas, evidence, and arguments together coherently. And as it turns out, effective communication, same deal. You've made it this far. Congratulations. I did promise you some tips, so here they are. Tip number 1, make sure to state your argument, the evidence, and the reasoning behind your argument. The standard 5-paragraph essay seen in high school typically includes a thesis statement, where you state the main idea or the main argument of your essay. Tip number 2, ensure that you have solid evidence to back up your thesis statement or the main argument of your essay. This can be direct quotes or paraphrased sections, depending on the criteria you need to meet. You'll want to evaluate and analyze your evidence. Objections may come up, but your position should still hold up. Your evidence and your explanations of your evidence should back up your main idea. Tip number 3, practice, practice, practice. Writing a good essay isn't usually something that you can perfect on the first try. It takes time to stick the landing, and there's always room for improvement. This is where essay writing resources can come in handy. From essay structure to thesis statements, transitions, paragraph flow and structure, and other key essay writing tips, I've compiled some resources and have linked that in the description. For perks, credits in my next video, and access to other exclusive resources, consider supporting this channel on Substack. So, what's next? If you're ready to take your learning to the next level, why not give this ancient tool a try? You might just find that it's exactly what you've been missing. And if you want to reach the next level, you know that sound thinking paired with action is what gets you there. Check out my video on how to get ahead of 99% of people to learn how to take action to reach your goals. If you found this video helpful, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with one other person who might need a boost on their journey to success. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now, but not forever.